Welcome to the 11th day of December 2021. My name is Kurt Bell, and this is the Good Life Meditation. This is a daily activity that I do first thing in the morning every day to remind myself of my principles and objectives so that I can live a better life. I do this also to think about my principles and objectives to discover if they be sound, if there's problems that I need to fix, because nothing worse than following a plan that's a bad plan, so or that's simply wrong. So here we go. Oh wait, I always do my review of yesterday. I start with a review of yesterday and last night, and then begin with and then finish with a forecast for today. Yesterday was a really good day. So it was a Friday, a working Friday. The place that I work, every other Friday, you either have one Friday off or you work that Friday. This was a working Friday, which means that it's usually pretty quiet. I didn't have any meetings. And I set myself a goal. Even though it's a little bit premature, I'm a project manager, and I set myself a goal that I want to be ready by Monday to just take the my three projects and start running with them. I've only been there, yesterday was the fifth full working day, so a full week. And the organization had kind of given me a lot more leeway than that. They said, "Hey, how about by next year, at the start of the new year?" But I said, "I'm going to do this because I wanted, I always worry, and I thought, if I can get myself in a situation where I'm ready to take the projects, then I'll sleep." And so I set myself that goal. It was a rather ambitious goal, and by gum, I did it. And so by the close of business day, I had to work a little extra overtime, but no big deal. And but I did it, and I really feel like not only are the projects ready to run, but the artifacts and infrastructure and process that I created within the software tools that I use is better than it ever has been. This is a result of wiping the slate clean and starting over. As I've done again, I get to start over with the tools, and I did, so I don't have to repeat my mistakes. That's one of my principles. Is the principle of maturity. Maturity is recognizing past successes and failures, and having the fortitude to continue doing what works and to not repeat the mistakes. So as a result, last night I just slept great. Just as soon as I laid my head on the pillow, I was out and didn't wake up until the alarm went off at 4 a.m. Really good, restful night of sleep. Gosh, that was good. So this is one of those times with the old Anchorhold, which is another principle of mine. The Anchorhold, the idea of a rock sticking out of the water, and we're perched on that rock, and the water is high or low, and our anxiety is relative to how close the dangerous water is to us, or how rough it is. And right now, at this very moment, the water is receded low, and it's a very calm and placid sea. Now I know, because another principle, the principle of nature, that's bound to change. Soon the water will rise, just like a tide. It's coming. So I'm ready for that. But yesterday was a good day. Last night was a good night. Let's do my good life. The first objective is to be always ready to die, to have all my affairs in order, all my people. I've said I love you to all of them. I've settled any issues I might have with any of them. like George's dad. I've got issues with all you people. Festivus. The airing of grievances. I've aired all my grievances. Better, more importantly, I've resolved all my grievances. I don't have any outstanding things that I didn't say to anybody, except maybe my mom. But that's just because she doesn't want to talk to me, because I'm such a bad son. But that's where you recognize the true limits and true opportunity. Another principle, right? I want to have a good relationship with my mom, but it's just a limit that she doesn't seem to want to have a relationship with me. So, or at least not a good one. So that's a real limit, and the opportunity is to keep trying, but I will. Okay, so next objective is the be always ready to die. Good and effective use of time is number 2. just to not waste time. Number 3 is the development and maintenance of good and sound life principles. Number 4 is the cultivation of good emotional reactions. Number 5 is the performance of good actions. Number 6 is the recognition of true limits and true opportunity, which I just talked about. I can only press so hard and so far with my mom. She that's just a reality. It's a true limit. And time is running out. So I have to accept the reality that she may leave me, she may leave us on bad terms. That she may die, and I've had this fantasy since I was a kid, since I was a teenager, of having a good relationship with her. So I guess that's just a reality. True limit. I keep saying it. If it sounds like I'm repeating myself, it's because with that particular circumstance and challenge, I've been repeating myself for 40 years, 45 years. Well, yeah. I guess you never give up with your family, right? Well, I guess you do, but maybe I should. Anyway, I'm dwelling on that one. And then one thing slowly is the last objective, just to do one thing at a time and not multitask. Okay, then now, wow, I whipped through those really quick. The next are the principles. First of these is the principle of war, to be forever at war with what I think is true about the world. Whatever others propose is true as well. Next is the principle of reason, and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, and doubt. Try to imagine if there's any other way of doing it that would even be considered. What are the I think the word is epistemology, toolkit for understanding the world. What other epistemology could one have that's not based on, you could have one based on faith, right? Or hope, all of my sins, right? I never thought about that. That reason alone is the core. It's like the core element of a way of approaching the world. And likewise, some of the other worldviews that I don't necessarily agree with have their own foundation element. For example, a lot of religion is based on faith. You talk to the religious, and they'll eventually kind of, say, well, it's just a matter of faith, and I would have to throw up my hands and say, well, it's just a matter of reason. Wow, put it in that light. It reveals an interesting spectrum. Continuation between those kind of very different worldviews. Or not worldviews, very different epistemology. It would seem like the one reason is the tool that is most useful for pushing forward and learning where we're wrong. That's what reason's really good at, showing us where we're wrong. Whereas faith and hope and authority and dogma, even superstition, most of the sins that in my worldview are really, really good, not necessarily showing us where we're wrong, but reinforcing our ideas of what's right. Just padding the cell, adding more bricks to the wall, deafening the outside tumult of the barbarians and the heathens. Okay, now the homunculus is number 3, the little man that lives inside my head. my consciousness that will die with me. Can't get out. When I die and my body starts to rot, and the other stuff it in the ground, or stick it in the oven, or let it rot in the fields. If the new what do you call it? Composting method of burial becomes popular. Once that happens, that little curtain inside my head, it's dead, so you can't do anything but, let me out. You're not getting out. The flames are getting you too, dude. Yeah, there will be no forever. Or if there is, man, it's my worldview is way off. Okay, next is the Anchorhold, which I kind of talked about earlier. The little rock that sticks out of the sea where we stand, each of us upon our own rock. The sea is dangerous, deep and cold and dark, very dark. It rises and falls and waves and wind. And wow, what depth. And we're restless and anxious as the waters rise, and we feel a little better when they're low. Like I mentioned before, my waters are low right now. The trick is to find an attitude and a composure. Find attitude of peace and some element of composure despite the flow. Kind of like the Zen monks that I saw in Japan that would kind of weather every tumult in kind of a balanced state. The next principle is a home of good and evil. The idea that right and wrong are opinions, and we hold those opinions tentatively, and that those opinions, they die away with us, just like everything else that is contained within our noggin. And these opinions are maintained by the homunculus. I picture them as written in chalk on the inside of my skull, written in chalk so I can erase them and start over, and so that the elements, the wind, namely, can blow them away, just like the writing under the bridge at Siberia. Next is the principle of purpose, and the three sub-principles of biology, having kids, virtue, living a virtuous life, where virtue is the pursuit of the well-being of others, namely thinking creatures, if you have to narrow it down. And then, because we can't all have our well-being managed if we're to survive, at least not yet. The plants, namely, have to suffer, if they can, if they do. Okay, and then some mission in life. That's one of my purposes. The atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces, and changing. And you and me, our bodies are bits and pieces, and changing. Principle of nature. Everything has some particular nature. I was talking earlier about the nature of my mom. I won't go into details, but I'll just say that her nature is such that I can't seem to have a good relationship with her. I'm sure if she would say the same about me, which is just another, nature. Maturity, and I already talked about that one too, and the sub-principles of wisdom and fortitude. Wisdom being a remembrance and understanding of what's worked and what's failed in our life, and our fortitude being the ability to not make our mistakes again, and to push forward through into what we've discovered does work. social principle. We are social animals. We need one another. Principle of public speaking. The idea to use few words and carefully chosen words. Words that other people understand. And to never gossip. The principle of temperance and the three sub-principles of suffering, simplicity, and apathy. Temperance is when we control our consumption of anything. We suffer when we do that because we want those things. When we succeed, our life becomes simpler. That's the second sub-principle. And apathy is the ability to recognize and let go of what is outside of our control. Like, I would love to be apathetic about my mom and just say that I can't, that's her nature. But it's tough. That one's a tough one because she's my mom. But I know that that would probably be the more mature thing to do. I wouldn't know, if I could do it right, it wouldn't be giving up. It would be more like a resignation, a hopeful resignation. Resignation not in terms of quitting my job, but resignation in terms of recognition and simply resigning myself to the fact of the way it is. Okay. That's temperance. The next principle is the Feast of Offal, the waste and byproduct of our, poor living. We get mad at the world and tell everybody about it. Get them mad. And then they tell everybody in their world about it. And then they get mad. I don't want to be a part of that. So I try to stop. I don't consume the feast. Next is the principle of distraction. We spend our lives distracting ourselves from all kinds of stuff. Emily's got a new job. I think she starts tonight at a place where people distract themselves. I'm going to go Yumiko and I will go give that distraction a try. It should be fun. That's distraction. And now after distraction comes, what is it? Oh, agency and the great indifference, the big emptiness of the universe. We don't want to see. After that comes the best seat in the house, to not want to be anywhere else or to be anyone else or be doing anything else, but to always try to be all right with who I am and where I am and what I'm doing. After that comes the Path of Wildness. Picture a faint trail through the brush and another faint trail through the brush, leading in different directions and a fork in the road. Well, which path are we going to take? The Path of Wildness is when we go with the one where we've collected facts and information, but we still can't quite make our mind up. Yet we need to make a movement forward rather than just staying put. Pardon me. And so we put on top of all of our deliberation the recommendation of our gut instinct, and we go that way. It may not be right, but at least it got us moving. I never sleep in, but this morning might have been a good one for that. Okay, that's the Path of Wildness. Now the next is the risk of avoiding risk, the deep level and surface level risks of life. It's the importance of tending to both of those. Getting an education, the surface level education, somebody to spend your life with, family, home, good job. All that stuff is the surface level stuff. The deep stuff is becoming your own man or woman of whatever, listening to that little voice inside you that says, I want you to do something, for yourself. Stuff to do, the deep and the surface stuff. We usually get one or the other at the expense of the other. That's the risk avoiding risk. Next is sin and damnation. I already talked about my sins. If you engage in these sins, we become damned. And these sins are credulity, over-eagerness to believe or propensity to believe, hope, which is wishing for something without acting or having a plan of action or getting ourselves into some movement forward, just kind of staring out the window with the doors locked and the windows locked and wishing for something different. That's hope. It's not a good thing. So it's okay if you couple it with action, but then it's no longer hope alone. Faith, because faith is believing things just because we want them to be true so badly. And we can't think of, or maybe we can't think of any other good reason, so we back ourselves into faith, and there we stand on the most unfirm of foundations possible. Just closing our eyes and wishing it true. Wow. It's amazing how that epistemology wears the guise of virtue. I don't know how it does that. And after that, I've got to hurry up. Again, running out of time. I'm actually on a schedule this morning. Faith. Then the next three are similar. Dogma, authority, tradition. Believing things just because that's the way it's been done, or it's in the book, or someone says so. And the last is gossip. Gossip's a sin. After that is sin and damnation. Comes the great life adventure, one or more marquee events in our lives that really make us who we are. And then after that comes the principle of the season of philosophy, which is simply reminding ourselves to strike when the words come to us, when we want to write or speak or do some sort of art. When the muse is talking, we better do something about it, because the muse has a way of moving on, and we have a way of getting old and changing. And whatever words we had at that moment will either change or not come again. Okay, now after that comes the season of philosophy. Then comes the bullseye aim, one or more. Trying to strike for the mark, usually missing. The uphill climb, life is an uphill climb. Arena and utility, life is an arena for trying to better ourselves. And these principles, whatever principles you have, whatever epistemology you use, whatever methodology you use, are the tools that we use. Imagine yourself fighting a battle, and you've got your little armaments, And then last one is nothing is enough. Sometimes very little is plenty. And with that, I'm going to forecast the day. Today should be a very straightforward day. No work. Lots of fun things to do today. I know that we're going to have a nice breakfast, and we're going to go take care of a couple of things. I'm going to clean the house. This will be our first day to sort out our cleaning and shopping routine. And we won't be going to Irvine, which is strange because we have a very tight routine that we typically do on Saturdays. Yumiko and I do for our shopping. We're going to have to refigure that out here because we don't have the Japanese supermarket. And then the thing that will likely ambush me is my usual cyclical nature of mood. I get moody sometimes. That's most likely to ambush me. But lately I've been seeing that coming, and I've been getting better at being more stoic and just, zipping my lip and waiting for the tide to go down again. So with that, let's stop. I wish you all the best. I hope you make it a good day, and remember to be safe, but not too safe. Bye-bye.